You need to walk into a room assuming everybody wants to play with you, and we need to teach this to people around us. I have the privilege of having a goddaughter. Her name is Maddie. Maddie is 7. Now, Maddie is beautiful. She is the most beautiful 7-year-old goddaughter that is possibly on this planet. Now, Maddie and I, we have started some traditions, and one of our traditions is that last year I took her to New York City, to Radio City, so she could see the rockets. So I went with Maddie and her mother, Meg. It was an amazing day. For those of you who have ever had the experience of New York at Christmas and the rockets. And if you've never had the opportunity to see the show, I would encourage you, put it on your list. How many of you in this room have seen the rockets at Radio City? It's amazing, right? It's just, it literally, some of you are like, oh, I've got goosebumps just thinking about it. So Maddie and I, we have decided to make a day of it. And so we were actually on 5th because it's important that you take her to Tiffany, obviously. It's essential that she sees Bergdorf, right? These are things that my goddaughter absolutely needs to know about. She knew the Gucci store, I'm just saying. So I was on 5th and I wanted to take her out for lunch. And she said, Aunt Neen, what's your most favorite restaurant in New York City? And I said, well, Balthazar, of course. Has anyone eaten at Balthazar? Balthazar is a French place in Soho. It's just my kind of place, right? And so I always go to Balthazar given an opportunity. But we were on 5th, which means we have to take a cab. So I said to Maddie, honey, one of the most important skills you're ever going to learn, as your godmother, it is my responsibility to teach you how to hail a cab. We stood on the curb on 5th. So I said to Maddie, this is what you're going to do. You're going to step out halfway, you're going to extend your hand, and you're going to say, taxi! You're going to have a smile on your face, and you stay that way. So this is my little Maddie. Taxi! And then she'd come back to the curb. Taxi! She must have done this 10 times. It was hysterical. There was a New Yorker who walked up, and she looked at me, and she looked at Maddie, and she said, I love her confidence. And I thought, me too. So I said to her, you're going to get a taxi. And I let it all happen. The taxi pulled up. I said, and when you get inside, you must say, thank you, driver, for stopping. So Maddie moves into the cab and she says, thank you, driver, for stopping. Taxi! Adorable. The taxi pulls up to Balthazar in Soho, and at Christmas time, you can imagine that place is packed. I'm not even kidding you if there were probably 40 people waiting for a table. Now, for Balthazar, there's a seated dining room and there's also the bar. And sometimes you can be lucky enough to get a place at the bar if you just kind of hunt people down and wait for them to finish, which has been my strategy in times gone by. We have this joke amongst my girlfriends that you just send in the Australian. Because the Australian will get you a table, a seat at the bar, you name it, because I walk in assuming everyone wants to play with me. I also assume everyone wants to help me. So I walked straight up to the maitre d' and I said this, sir, I know you're really busy today. I have my 7-year-old goddaughter with me. It's her first experience in Balthazar. We've just been to see the Radio City Rockettes, and I know you have a table for me of 3. And he said, how about this one right here? And little Maddie did only what Maddie would do. She was like, that's my Aunt Neen. She sat down. She's like, Aunt Neen, why are all these people waiting? I was like, honey, I have no idea. Now, the 40 people waiting were not very impressed with me.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
They did not want to play with you.
Apparently, they didn't want to play with me, but I didn't care, because I was in my little piece of heaven with my little Maddie and Meg, eating steak freaks and drinking champagne. Like, seriously? I'm sorry if you're a vegan. That's my idea of heaven right there. What's fascinating is that kids can show confidence, and at some point, we lose it. And I want for Maddie to always have that confidence. I want for her to step out on a curb and go, you know what, I can get a taxi. I can get a table at one of the fabulous restaurants in New York City if that's what I want. And as women leaders, we've got to demonstrate that confidence. We've got to walk into a room and assume everyone wants to play with us. We've got to have that assumption so we carry our body in a way that says, I am meant to be here. Because when you walk into a room tentatively, when you hang back, people start to question, why are you there? Recently, I was with one of my large pharmaceutical clients. They have a place out in Chicago, and I was meeting with the executive team. And it's phenomenal. These offices are just like the movies. Like, you step out of the elevators like, ta-da! It's just like the carpet's thicker and the paneling's more expensive. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. But we sit at the board table, and I just walk in. I have no security badge. I just walk on in. I start introducing myself to people. I was mentoring one of my clients out there, and I was working with him on his presentation skills. So I said, I really need to sit in on one of your presentations. He said, well, I'm going to be meeting with the executive team. I said, that's perfect. The whole executive team of this squillion-dollar company, not one person asked me who I was or why I was there. They just assumed I belonged. So did I. Ladies, we need to teach this. We need to walk into a room assuming everyone wants to play with us. We need to have the courage to walk in with our head held high. We need to be so comfortable in our own skin that people are so excited that you're there because you bring confidence to the space. I wonder how many of you don't always feel comfortable in your own skin? Who would be willing to admit that in public? Yeah, some of you knew me at 180 pounds. I was pretty confident, right? And 180 pounds on someone who's not quite 5 feet yet, that's substantial. But 180 pounds is really nothing. But what it was weight that was affecting my confidence. Now, believe me, this is a crazy journey, which I am so still on. But one day I have aspirations of having abs. I think that would be amazing. Because I've never seen them. We sometimes have these things that get in our way. We have weights around us that make us uncomfortable in our own skin. Maybe it's not weight for you. But maybe there's been experiences that you've had that have made you less comfortable in your own skin. I've seen women in this program. I've seen women in this program transform themselves. I've seen women in this program who looked a certain way, decided to make some changes. They showed up completely different. I've seen those women do amazing things because they got comfortable in their own skin.